Hi, folks. Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast, where we focus and we highlight on the people, the places, and the trends to feed your mind, your body, and your spirit. And so we're going to be doing some interesting things here today. Once again, we are in a new, kind of a whole new setup here, especially in studio, where we are doing our podcast and our video at the same time, which is really fun. So we want to be out on YouTube. We're out on Twitter, we're out on Anchor.fm, we're all over the place. So I just want to thank you all for being a part of the show today. We're going to do everything we can to try to keep everything in front of us, because it's kind of tough. It really is. It's very tough to try to keep everything in front of you when you're a one-man show for right now. And it's interesting. I've spoken to a couple of my really just people that I trust as mentors, and one of the things that they talk about is they say that when they first started doing all of their stuff, they were very, very similar to this. Very similar in that they started as a one-man show type thing, and now, especially one of my really good, or I shouldn't say a good friend, but somebody I really just admire tremendously. His name is Canal. Gosh, I forgot the guy's first name now. I'm gonna screw his name up. But he has a YouTube channel where I remember when he first started. It's called Think Media, and when he first started, he was really just doing kind of just a small little thing, and eventually he went for almost 10 years of kind of flatlining and not really doing a lot of work on it. But then all of a sudden, exponentially, that thing just grew. Now he has, I think he has over 1 million subscribers to his YouTube channel. He also has, and he's got several YouTube channels, but not only does he have a lot of people watching his videos on it as a total, but even on a monthly basis, 300,000 easily. 300,000 people watching his videos, so that's really cool. And so he gives us some great insights on how to do that. And one of the biggest things that he says to do is you've got to do just like us. We just get out there, we do our videos, we do our podcast, we just get it out there as much as we possibly can. And you got to do some other smart things, but that's really kind of one of the biggest things that you end up doing as a content creator. Somebody's out there doing some great things. One of the things we want to let you know too is if you go to Instagram and you just type in success, we are, and this is interesting, you've got to look for it. You've got to actually look for success videos or success channel or black success. We are two of the top 5 search parameters will come up. Black Success Magazine comes out. That is phenomenal. So 2 out of the top 5 positions, you will find Black Success Magazine as that. And I'm just flabbergasted. So thank you so much. We really encourage you to go ahead and look us up. If you can't find us, just type in success. Black Success Magazine definitely will come up. We're number 1, so we're the only Black Success magazine there is. But if you just type in success, if you're just looking for success, we're there. So look us up on Instagram. You can find our podcast at Anchor.fm, Google Casts. They're all over the place, and we're adding stuff all the time. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. Yeah, I know. It's very timely. 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. I think you're going to really enjoy this, folks. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast, and we'll be back in just a moment. All right, folks, let's get on back with the show here. All right, and we are back, folks. It's Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. And we're trying out some new things here, which is, so if you see me moving around a lot, it's probably because we're really trying out some new stuff. Let's talk a little bit about 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. There's difference between happiness and joy. Let's just first start with that. There's a happiness between joy and happiness. No one should be able to steal your joy, because joy is something that's deep within you. It is a belief in who you are and what you are. But happiness is dependent on your surroundings. It's almost impossible to keep your joy without doing something about the things that are trying to rob you of your happiness, and that's why we're going to address this in this article. So it's very important that you understand there's a difference between joy and happiness. That happiness is really external. Happiness is about things that are out there in the mainstream, outside of you, whereas joy is something that's actually an inner state. It's an inner state that you have with you all the time. The difference is, though, is that happiness can really, the things outside of you can actually affect your happiness, and those things that affect your happiness can affect your joy. Does that make sense to you? So there's a correlation between the two. I know there's a lot of people that say, "Oh no, you can't steal my joy." Well, yeah, you can. Definitely, people can steal your joy because there are things that are external to you that are fighting against you keeping your joy, and they're fighting against your happiness. And your happiness, once again, is the things outside of you. So let's talk about some things that will actually go around trying to steal your happiness. Those external things. One is your mindset. What sort of things are lovely? Whatever things are pure? If something is noble, if it's praiseworthy, think on these things. And there's a scriptural basis behind this. Everything begins with your thoughts. Whatever your mind dwells on, that is where your imagination goes, and that will determine the level of your happiness you experience in this world. Why are comedians, let me ask you a question, why do you think comedians are so funny? Or why are artists so creative? The answer is because that's all they think about all the time. That's all comedians think about. They think about funny stuff all the time. If you focus only on being funny and looking for the hilarious in the world, let me tell you, you'll find the most comical things in the world. Even if it's something that's probably not funny, you're probably going to find something funny anyway. That's all you think about. Not only would you find funny, but you most likely will be able to turn a situation that is on the surface not funny and turn it into a joke. That is what we call a mindset. You've got a paradigm shift. You've got a mindset. If you fix your mind on a way of thinking, everything which comes into that lens or through that lens is only received as something that comes through that filter. So if you look at things that are ugly and it comes through a mindset that's funny, guess what? It's going to be transformed. And it's going to be transformed into fitting in the way of your thinking. Okay, can you understand what I'm saying? That's good. Your mind is a miraculous thing. Its ability to adapt to a new paradigm is remarkable. All you have to do is tell it what to do and what you want it to do, and it will do it. After a few weeks of training your mind, it will come around to your thinking, but you just can't give up. You can't give up, and you can't give in your will in your mind to whatever it wants to do, because your mind will tend to move in the direction that you want it to do. So that's really kind of what you want to start out with, is everything's got to go through your mind. So whatever you think about, whatever you tend to dwell on, that's the way your mind is going to move. And that's what we have to begin to retrain ourselves. See, we live in a society that's pretty negative all the time. As a matter of fact, I sometimes think that it's doing it on purpose. I'm saying because it's a constant barrage. It's a constant bombardment of trying to keep you upset about things, and but you've got to fight against that on a constant basis if you want to live a happy life in a crazy world. Does that make sense to you? So that's one of the things we're going to begin to look at. We're going to be looking at your mindset, because everything starts in the mind. It starts with your thinking. It starts with that filter that you allow things to come into your mind, and then everything else goes from there. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more. I've got 5 tips on how to live a happy life in a world gone mad. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We'll be back in just a second. And we are back, folks. This is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. Thank you for being a part of the show today. As I said, we are just trying a new format out here, and just kind of doing some new things, and working with some new technologies and trying to make it all work together. But we'll get it down eventually. I'm telling you, we're going to get this down. I'm very excited about it. We're talking about 5 keys to living a happy life in a world gone mad. I'll tell you, I think this is one of those things people need it. We really all need some kind of, we all need that extra word or some kind of technique to help us out with that. Let's go on to number 2. First one we talked about was your mindset. The second one we're going to talk about, the second key to living in with happiness, and saving your happiness and being happy in a world gone mad, is the way you speak. Toxic words, phrases, and speech determine what is going on inside of a man or a woman. There's a verse of scripture that says, out of the mouth come the abundance of the heart. And in layman's terms, what we mean is whatever comes out of your mouth is an indication of what's happening deep within your spirit. If you are constantly speaking negative words, you're cursing, sarcasm, and worse yet, you needlessly curse people out who have nothing to do with you. And, they might be on TV and you're cursing them out. This is a clear indication that there's a heart issue, which means you need to take care of it. And deal with whatever is causing you to feel the way you are acting out. Maybe it's something happened recently, or maybe something happened a long time ago, which you never resolved. Time to resolve that issue. Secondly, monitor your speech. And this is interesting because this is something, I don't know if we all do this, but you need to monitor your speech. Do you tend to use words which are negative words? Or do you say to yourself, I'm stupid, that kind of stuff? Instead of trying to find a positive way of communicating, do you tend to just let it go? Well, as a writer and a speaker, I am constantly monitoring the way I communicate. It's easy to fall into the trap of saying things which automatically stress people out. The key here is to find positive words that, while at their core are saying the same thing, on the surface, you're not just asking for a negative response. It's easier to catch flies with honey rather than with a skinny stick. So, temper your speech. Your speech is a real big indicator of what's going on inside of you. If things just fly out of your mouth and you're just vile and just cussing and stuff like that, that's probably an indication that something is going on inside of you. And if it is, and you're monitoring the way the things that you say, guess what? Now you can deal with them. But you've got to begin to monitor those things. You've got to begin to say to yourself, wow, the first thing that always comes out of my mouth is something negative. It's always something that says, oh, what's wrong, as opposed to something praiseworthy. As if somebody says, hey, how you doing today? And you go, well, what? What do you mean? Well, what's wrong? Okay? You're going right to that negative thing right away. And you can tell because the first thing you said was, what? As opposed to if somebody says, hey, how you doing today? And you go, wow, man, I'm waiting to say something good. I want to share with you all the great things that are going on in my life. And now that tells people, guess what, man, you're open, things are great in life, and you're the kind of person I want to be around. Our speech, and there's so many different indicators of what's going on in your life, and we can definitely do this. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about our 5 keys to living with happiness in a world gone mad. If you like what you hear, folks, we really encourage you to go to our website, blacksuccessmagazine.com. That's blacksuccessmagazine.com. Or check us out on Instagram and Facebook and on Twitter. And we'll have this video up here in just a little bit here on YouTube. Or this video that you're watching here on YouTube. We really encourage you just to check us out. And if you like this video, folks, we really encourage you just to go to our website and or to our Facebook page and to our YouTube channel and just say, I like this. So this is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We'll back in just a minute. All right, folks, Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. Thank you for being a part of our show today, folks. And we've been talking about how to live, 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. Just gone crazy. and it's kind of tough. Sometimes it can be pretty tough to live in a world like that because you post, especially because I post some great things out on Instagram and on Facebook, inevitably you'll get that one person that'll go, they want to say something, and you go, wow, it's deep. It's running deep in people's minds that they can find fault with anything and everything you say. It's because we're living in a world that's just it's kind of toxic, but you can overcome that toxicity in this world just by following some of these great steps. Let's go on to number one that we were talking about was really your mindset. It all starts in your mind, getting your mind straight. Number two, the words that you speak. Excuse me. And number three, ignore the news. Oh my gosh, this is a big one. We live in a 24-hour news cycle world. Add to it the ability for everyone to access that news so readily. Unfortunately, news ain't happy, and once you start watching it, it can be pretty addicting. I know, because I watch news all the time. There used to be a time when your local station was the only thing you could receive. Now we live with the global news to saturate our minds. We've got news from everywhere, all over the place. If you want to be happy in a world gone mad, limit the amount of news that you watch. And I'm not saying that you need to be, a dullard and retreat from the world. But what I'm saying is you need to be responsible about what you're watching. Just like when you're drinking, you can't just keep drinking all day long. And the same thing with news. You just can't just keep watching news all day long. If you're watching news 4 to 5 hours a day, then you are allowing your happiness to be drained from your emotions. Life is too short to get upset over matters you cannot control. So this is interesting. We live in a 24-hour news cycle world right now. And the interesting thing about it is you can get your news anytime within seconds. Not just here locally, but you can find out news from across the globe anytime you want because you have a little phone. I mean, you've got this little computer with you all the time. And we're not saying that you need to put down your phone or you put down your news or get away from, the whole news thing completely. There's a limit of that you can probably do to pretty much anything and everything in your life. But to watch 4 and 5 and 6 and 8 hours of news constantly getting you every day, what that's doing is it's inundating your mind with negative thoughts. News is not meant to be fun. Okay, it's just not. But it's supposed to be hard-hitting and to keep you up to date with all the crazy people in the world. You don't have to do that. You really don't. Maybe an hour a day to find out what's going on. And then say, okay, I understand what's going on. Because really, as the day goes on, it's just probably a rehash of what just happened or somebody else's spin on what just happened. So it's just kind of inundating you. And we live in an economy right now, we live in a world right now where, as an African American, I'll tell you, we are being targeted. We're being targeted to say, hey, look how terrible this world is. When you can go to Black Success Magazine, and guess what? You're going to find out all the great things that we're doing. We just put something up today. There's a thing called the Giving Pledge, and what it is a bunch of billionaires around the globe who've said we are going to give back all of our money before the end of our lives. And we sometimes only hear about Bill and Melinda Gates or something like that, or Warren Buffett, but there are actually, on that list, there's 4 or 5 black folks that are doing the same thing. Robert F. Smith, who went to, I think he did Morehouse College, where he paid for all of the tuition for all the graduating seniors. That's pretty good stuff. My gosh, who knew that we were actually doing that kind of stuff too? Well, you wouldn't know that unless you found out from Black Success Magazine. And that's really that's why we encourage you to read our magazine, read the stuff that we're putting out there, because this is the kind of stuff that you can live on this stuff. We're going to give you stuff that is really good for you. You can chew on this stuff. Whereas watching CNN and MSNBC and those kind of things like that are probably just going to drain you of all your spiritual life. Anyways, we'll be back in just a minute. We're talking about how to live and 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. Black Success Magazine. I'm Sherman Ray. I'm your host. We'll be back in just a minute. All right, folks, and we are back with Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast, and we're talking about the 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. And this has been fun. It's been kind of a fun. This was an article that we'll actually have up on our website, BlackSuccessMagazine.com, here in just a short while. We're going through some maintenance on our website. So if you've gone to the website and you're saying, man, the website's down, it's because we're having some technical issues. But we'll definitely have it up on YouTube. We'll have it on our Anchor.fm. We'll have it on Google Cast. We'll have it on those kind of places, so you can actually get the audio or you can get the video. We'll have those up, which will be great. So, we've gone through at least 3 things right now. We're on number 4 right now. Number 4 is ignore other people. If you want to have happiness in a world gone mad, you need to ignore people. This could probably be one of the things that we all, and I know this doesn't happen in your life, but it happens in somebody else's life. But if it does, you can tell your friends about this, okay? Just tell them, ignore other people. We live in a complicated world with complicated people. Our interactions with people can be draining, almost as much as watching the news. So, if it is up to you to find the right people to associate with, do it. It's up to you. Find the right people to associate with. The rest of the negative people in life are toxic. The easiest thing to do is just ignore them and look for what we call graham cracker people. And what do we mean by graham cracker people? Graham crackers, and some of you probably don't know what a graham cracker. Let's go backwards. Graham crackers are those yummy crackers that your grandma used to give you. So they're like crackers, and they're made with cinnamon. They break off. What she would do is, as a kid, she would give these to you, and she'd put a glass of milk and a small plate of these graham crackers, and she would sit down in front of you, and while you watch TV, and you got to eat them. And it was just wonderful. Grandma, you would love to go to Grandma's house because she would have these graham crackers. Those are the kind of people that you're looking for. The kind of people that are just wonderful people. They taste good. They feel good when you're around them all the time. Toxic people, on the other hand, though, drain you of all your happiness. They always have a problem. There's always something going. There's always some kind of drama going on in their lives. But they look for people like you to try to drain because they think that, man, everybody else should be like them. There's a saying that happens when you get on an airplane. And when you get on an airplane and the stewardess is, giving you the instructions, she says, well, folks, if the plane should be in danger, the first thing you need to do is you actually need to take as the air mask comes down, take the mask, put it on yourself first before you try to help someone else. And life is the same way. You have to be able to help yourself first in order for you to help other people. If you're all down there and you're all just walling away trying to make sense of the world, it's not gonna happen. Someone has got to be at the front, getting well, being healthy, being emotionally healthy, being spiritually healthy, So, in order for you to be healthy, you've got to begin to look at yourself first and say to yourself, I've got to be a healthy person personally before I can help anyone else. So, toxic people, it's not that I don't love you, but you are not good for me right now. And I've got to be a healthy, happy person because I will never be able to help you unless I help myself first. The Sherman Ray Black Success Magazine podcast. We'll be back in just a minute. All right. And folks, this is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We've just got a couple more minutes left, but I wanted to finish up our look at the 5 keys to happiness in a world that has gone mad with this last thought. Get off social media. This is probably one of the biggest ones, and I know I'm going to probably get a lot of email about this because you're probably watching this on social media. But there used to be a time. I'm going to read because I wrote this article down. I want to be true to the article. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to read this to you. It was over a decade ago that social media came into existence. So it's social media, Facebook, and all that has really not been around that long. It's only been a little over a decade. And the world has been forever changed. And in some respects, social media has been a great way of connecting with distant family and friends. It has connected people, places, businesses, and of course, the creativity of videos and everything else and content. It's just a remarkable thing that's happened. On the other side of social media, it has also created an instant reply response to an entire generation. Because you can respond to any and all situation, news or trends at the drop of a hat, well, people do. This has come with some of the most negative consequences. People, family, friends, and even total strangers have access to your life in unprecedented ways, and that's got to stop. You've got to have boundaries in your life. If you have to keep out, if you want to keep out of a constant barrage of content from these outlets, you've just got to get off social media, or at least limit the amount of time that you spend on it. You'll be surprised at what that you used to do, like reading and writing and spending time with family and friends, going outside and enjoying the sunlight. Oh, can you imagine that? That's kind of what that is out there. Life is too short not to fight for your happiness, and it's a battle that you've got to do, but you've got to take back your life, and because negative things are trying to steal your life from you. So social media, though it is a wonderful thing, it really is, but because of what it does, it just inherently creates negativity, because people can say anything they want, because you'll never know who the heck they are. Somebody said something negative to me today, and not only did they say it negative to me, they said it negatively in German. And they didn't even leave their face. So they didn't even have a face. They had it was a negative comment, immediate, and by somebody who I did not know, and you couldn't see who their face was. So it just kind of is. All right. So those are my 5 keys to happiness in a world gone mad. I hope you've enjoyed that, folks. If you have, just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Let everybody else know about it, and you can email me and say, Sherman, I really like what you've been saying, and it really resonates with me. We'll be back again tomorrow with some great stuff on Black Success Magazine podcast. We're with you every single day, folks. So we're going to we're with you every day, Monday through Friday. I hope you get this. I hope you get really deep down in your spirit. And if you do, let me know and just say, Sherman, I really enjoy what you're doing, and subscribe to our channel. So this has been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine podcast. We love you, folks. We'll see you again. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.